Yo, this is Real Talk E. Welcome to the locker room where we talk nothing but basketball. If you want to be part of the locker room, you obviously have to be part of the team. In order for you to be part of the team, you have to subscribe and share the video to not only be part of the team in the locker room, but to also be a part of our daily basketball conversations so that you don't miss nights of basketball like this. Now, yesterday in the league, there were about, I believe, 6 to 8 games going on last night. And to be honest with you, a lot of games were mid or just whack. But there's a couple things I do want to talk about. Now, the Warriors went up against the Pelicans last night, and this was interesting to watch because obviously both of these teams were 8-7 in the West. This game really mattered because if the Pelicans would have won, they would have took 7. But obviously the Pelicans ended up losing, and they lost by 11 points. And the way they lost is super interesting. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first quarter, the Pelicans had it. They were really going in on the Warriors. They had like a 12-point lead, and the quarter ends with the Pelicans scoring 35 points. I mean, they were scoring at every single point. Like, they had everything clicking for them. They got whatever they wanted. I mean, they put up 35 points. Anytime a team puts up 35 points or more in a quarter, then they had an amazing quarter. Everything was going in, and the other team's defense obviously was not all the way there. And they pretty much had a 12-point lead for a while. We get to the second quarter and they still had a 12-point lead. They brought it all the way to 20. Like, the Pelicans were up by 20 points. And this is not the first time the Pelicans have went up against the Warriors and had a huge lead and then lost it. So this time though, the Pelicans' only 35-point quarter was the first quarter. I don't think they put up 30 points in any other the three quarters at all. And then the Warriors, they pretty much were having like a lot of turnovers in the first half. You know, the way the Warriors always play is going to be a lot of turnovers. But in the first half, I believe they had like 7 turnovers. And obviously that hindered them, that helped them fall into this deficit. And it also helped the Pelicans build upon their lead. And the Pelicans were also killing the Warriors on the offensive board and just on boards in general in the first half. So much so that I even thought, like, damn, like, I feel like the Pelicans are just going to abuse the fact that they're bigger than the Warriors and they're just going to get up on the boards. Now, what happened? We get to the second half, and we all know the third quarter is the Warriors' quarter, right? It is like historically known. It's like the Warriors have their signature all over it. Usually it's the Warriors' quarter. Besides this year, I don't know what's going on this year, but every other year, the third quarter is the Warriors' quarter, and usually no team is able to stand up to them in the third quarter. And yesterday was just another example. They put up 39 points in the third quarter. Now, the Pelicans' defense is not one of the worst defenses in the league. It's actually, one of the best defenses in the league. And to give up 39 points in the third quarter is insane. And on top of that, this is when Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, and Steph Curry really took the Warriors upon their back and, you know, started scoring for them to win. I believe Steph ends the quarter with like 27 or 30 points. Jordan Poole obviously did his part. Jonathan Kuminga did his part. Clay hit like 2 or 3 threes in this quarter. I mean, the Warriors were just starting to knock down their threes. They were starting to make their shots. They were starting to play defense. They forced the Pelicans into a lot of turnovers. And the crazy part is, in the first half, I believe in the first quarter actually, the Pelicans had like 8 threes. And I thought, like, this is gonna be the way that the Pelicans win the game. Is gonna keep shooting and play defense and get up on the boards. In the second half, especially in that third quarter, they put Kevon Looney back in, and he just took over the boards. He was just getting up on the boards. He got 8 rebounds, but like a lot of them were offensive. There was one possession where he had like 3 offensive rebounds. He had a rebound off of a Steph miss, and then 2 off of a Jordan Poole miss, and then eventually the Pelicans took it and ran down with it. But um, his rebounding came up really, really big for the Warriors because even like in the fourth quarter, The Warriors put up another 35-point quarter in the fourth. And the Pelicans, they went from 35-point first quarter to a 27-point second quarter, a 26-point third quarter, and then a 20-point fourth quarter. So if you just pay attention to that, 35 to 20 in the fourth quarter, that is a 15-point difference. And then in the third quarter, it was a 39 to 26 difference. So that is about 13 points. So basically, in the second half, they were outscored by 28 points, and they allowed the Warriors to put up 74 points in the half. Now, I don't care if it's the first or the second half, you should never allow a team to put up 74 points in a half. And I don't know what is up with teams choking 20-point leads now. That was not a thing before. Like, I could have sworn a couple years ago, when a team is up 20 points, whether it's the first half, the third quarter, the fourth quarter, is pretty much it. I mean, teams are going to fight to try to get back in the game, but it's pretty much over. But now it's like teams get a 20-point lead in the second quarter, and you can still come back from it. And obviously that should be the case because it's a lot of time left. You should not be able to not come back from a 20-point lead in the second quarter. But the fact that teams are able to do that like damn near every single time now shows you that a lot of teams that go up by 20 points, they become relaxed. It's not the same anymore. And on top of that, a 20-point lead now, it's like a 10-point lead, a 5-point lead. And then when you get to the fourth quarter, some teams are up by 20 points in the fourth quarter and still lose. I mean, we saw the Celtics be up by 14, 15 points in the fourth quarter and they still lost. Allow teams to come back on them. And it's not even just the Celtics, but speaking about the Celtics, how did they lose last night? They had everybody playing. Now, I was not going to watch this game because, I mean, come on, bro. They're playing a bad team. And honestly, I expected them to win. But it just like, they had everybody playing. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum put up 27 points and 18 points each, respectively. And, you know, usually Celtics are better than that. Are they trying to fall down in standings? Like, what is going on? Because this does not look good for them. And there's still a lot of games left. You can still try to take the number one seed. And if you have your two top players playing with everybody else, all of your great supporting cast, why are they losing? Because the Celtics still have a chance to have home court advantage over every single team. And the Bucks sat out their two top guys in Jrue Holiday and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they only played Chris Middleton with a bunch of supporting cast, and they still won by a lot. So the fact that the Celtics are struggling right now is not a good sign at all. But anyways, back to the Pelicans and Warriors. There's a couple things I want to say about the Pelicans, because I feel like I've been speaking about the Warriors this whole time. The Pelicans, obviously, you know, Brandon Ingram had 26 points. Trey Murphy had like 21. Honestly, I expected more out of CJ McCollum. He only ended the game with like 15, 1 rebound, 3 assists. Like, I expected more out of him. At least if he didn't have 15 points, like 8 assists from CJ, 7, 6 assists, not 3. Also expected him to have, you know, about 20 points, not 15. I mean, I feel like the Pelicans could have used that. Would it have helped them win the game? Possibly. Would it have helped them gain momentum? Possibly. But I feel like that could have been very, very good for them. BI, yes, he had 26 points. I feel like if the Pelicans have any chance of winning, somebody needs to put up 30, or somebody needs to put up around like 20 points, which is CJ McCollum. Or they might need the whole team, like just to put up a little more than what they did last night in points and defense. I mean, in the second half, it just felt like that the Warriors are playing way harder than the Pelicans, and it felt like that the Pelicans just, let their foot off the gas, and they weren't as hungry for the playoffs and for the spot as they were in the first half and all the games prior to this game. And plus, I mean, we just seen the Timberwolves come into this Warriors home and beat them, so I was wondering, like, why the Pelicans couldn't do so, because the Pelicans, in my eyes, they're way better than the Timberwolves. Defensively, offensively, it just all around. I feel like the Pelicans have better pieces. They're just way better in talent. They're better athletically. And I feel like they're just better in just scoring and defense. But anyways, let me give a couple of shout outs around to the rest of the league. I mean, not too many because, like I said, a lot of games last night were not great. But the Cavs went up against the Hawks, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I did not watch this game because I don't like the way the Hawks play. It's so boring and it's like so predictable. It's the same thing that I've been watching for like forever from them. It's like that one year when they made the playoffs against the Knicks, and then ever since then it's just been like the same type of gameplay, even though they added new players. Last night, I mean, I'm gonna give them their props. They won it 120 to 118. Uh, Trae Young had like 16 points, like 10 assists. It was a cool little game for him. DeJounte Murray had like 29 points. That was amazing. Like to see him go off. I mean, obviously the Hawks are gonna need him to have games like this in order for them to win, and I feel like they need him to have games like this more than they need Trae Young to have games like this. I mean, it would help if Trae Young could have 30 points and play off the ball, but if not, I don't know. I just feel like DeJounte Murray could take over the scoring part. Trae Young just needs to find a way to complement the rest of the team when he's off the ball, and DeJounte got the ball, because I feel like the rest of the team is able to complement him. Um, Everybody else did their part. Okongwu off the bench with 21 points. That was amazing. Um, like to see him play that hard and get that many points is great. Like when I do watch the Hawks, he's one of the players that I really do watch because I feel like he's just different. Like he's younger, he's different from the rest of the team. I feel like everybody else kind of just plays the same way, and I feel like he has a different attitude towards the game, in my opinion. And when we get to the Cavaliers side, uh, one, they're missing Jared Allen and they're missing Isaac Okoro, so already their defense is being affected. But they started off Karis LeVert and Stevens, and they also had Evan Mobley, who put up 20 points. There's Garland had like 27, but he only had 5 assists. I feel like if he would have had a couple more assists, it could have helped. And Donovan Mitchell with 44 points. I mean, he really wanted this win bad. He was out here scoring, putting up 44 is insane. I mean, like I told y'all in the beginning of the season, Donovan Mitchell is going to find a way, one way or another, to drag this team into the playoffs, probably into the first, round if it's a 7-game series, or even to late second round. Like I genuinely feel like that the Cavs could be a second round exit around 6 or 7. I feel like Donovan Mitchell will be able to drag them there if everybody else has bad games or whatever, or bad series. And I feel like they just need a couple of pieces back. Ricky Rubio off the bench with 9 points. Really is the assist that I'm looking for from him off the bench. If he could have like 5, 7, 8 assists off the bench, that would be amazing. Especially because he's a pass first point guard. And if he could do that off the bench, especially when Darius Garland's sitting down, that would be great for the Cavs. They need to utilize that more, in my opinion. It will be great. And also, like, just like imagine if they had Jared Allen, Isaac Okoro, they would have won last night's game. I mean, we've seen them play with those guys time after time after time again, and they had Karis LeVert come off the bench and stuff like that, and they've won and beat great teams. So honestly, I'm just waiting for the playoffs. In about 4 games or so, a lot of teams are pretty much, have their spot secured. A lot of teams are pretty much exactly where they're at. Nobody's gonna be playing any extra games. A lot of them are going to sit out their starters, or if not all of them. I mean, we're starting to see some teams doing now. But anyways, that's enough of me rambling and chatting. It's time for y'all to let me know. Chatting down below. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. This is Real Talk with Ian. It's time to leave the locker room. I'm going to catch y'all at safety.
Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown.
The officials have to review it. And the Lakers win the game. Banks it in. He banks in the three.
To win it. Good. That's why he's NBA All-Defensive Team. Adebayo, sky high with the block and rejection.
This is for the win. Got it. Wow.
At 7, working against Butler, got down.